added the sonic crossbow from Hoplite Battle Royale into vanilla Minecraft, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Alright, so first off, we're going to have to add 2 scoreboards to make this functional. So the first scoreboard we're going to be adding is the scoreboard sonic crossbow. So basically what this is we're going to be adding a scoreboard that just tests when a player shoots a crossbow, and then we're going to be able to test if that's a sonic crossbow and if they're on cooldown or not. And speaking of cooldown, we're going to be adding the sonic cooldown scoreboard as well, which is just a dummy scoreboard that we're going to use to see if the user is on cooldown or not. So next up is the actual functionality. So for this part, you're going to need 1 repeating command block on always active and 2 chain command blocks on always active. So anyways, these commands are basically just to test for the crossbow shot. So this first one is basically just going to test if the player is firing the sonic crossbow. So /execute as @e scores equals sonic crossbow equals 1. So if the score is 1 or more, that means they've used a crossbow. Then we're going to test for if the custom model data is 1. So if the custom model data is 1, which means it looks like a sonic crossbow, and they fired a crossbow, unless they're on cooldown, so this is the cooldown part right here, unless they're on cooldown, then it will tag them with sonic crossbow, which is basically a tag we're going to use to add some functionality to the arrows and such later on. So next up we have this command, which is that is literally just to reset the crossbow scoreboard so the game doesn't think that they're constantly firing a crossbow, because that would be kind of awkward. And this last one is to remove the cooldown. So this next part is going to be one of the 2 command block sets for the arrow, and it's also going to set the cooldown when a player actually fires the crossbow. So once again, 1 repeating command block on always active and 2 chain command blocks on always active. So this first one, this is basically just going to test that all players who have the tag sonic crossbow. So that basically means the players from earlier that got the tag sonic crossbow by 1, firing a crossbow, 2, having the sonic crossbow in their hand, and 3, not being on cooldown. So if all of those are true, they'll get the tag sonic crossbow, which will then allow them to tag an arrow. And we're going to use hashtag Minecraft arrows in case they're firing a spectral arrow or tipped arrow. They're going to tag all arrows within 2 blocks of them, so arrows that they fire will be within 2 blocks of them at this moment, and that are not in the ground. So then that way, if there's been a ton of arrows in the ground and they fire, they don't all instantly turn into sonic crossbow arrows and blow themselves up. So all of this is very important. And then we're going to add the tag sonic arrow to those arrows. So basically what this does is it's another check for if everything is going right so far, then it's going to add the tag to the arrow, which is going to allow the arrow to be functional as a sonic crossbow arrow, because we don't want to turn all arrows into sonic crossbow arrows because that would be chaos. So next we have this command. So basically what this does is just makes it so all the players who just fired a crossbow, and again, the checks that we did before have gone on, and they just fired a crossbow and got this tag, so they're going to set the sonic cooldown for themselves to 440. We're measuring the cooldown in ticks, just so you know. So divide this by 20, and that's the amount of seconds it is. So 22. And finally, this just removes that sonic crossbow tag from all players. So then that way, if they get the tag once, they don't always have it. Next up, so now we're going to be doing another arrow-based one, but this one actually makes the arrows functional and fires like a sonic crossbow arrow, like. So basically, we're going to have 1 repeating always active and 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 chain always active command blocks on this set. So this first one is literally just to give the sonic arrows a particle effect behind them so that you can tell that they're sonic crossbow arrows. Essentially just all the arrows that have passed all the checks that we've done before and have gotten the sonic arrow tag are going to be included in this entire chain set. So basically, they're going to have the particle sonic boom behind them. The particles are a really complicated command. If you want me to teach you how to do it in Java edition, because I've already done it in Bedrock, but I haven't done it in Java yet, leave a comment down in the description and I'll do it. Next, we're gonna add the tag explode, which will be functional slightly later in like 4 command blocks, to any sonic arrows that are in the ground, because obviously if the arrow lands in the ground, we want it to explode just like it would work in Hoplite. So at all the sonic arrows that are in the ground, hence in ground 1B, they're gonna tag themselves explode. So next we have this command. So this is one of the two commands that's basically going to make it so then if it gets near a player, it'll explode. But if you notice, this is adding player triggerable, not the explode tag from before. So basically what this command is meant to do is it's going to make the arrow able to explode near players as soon as it leaves us 4 blocks away from you. So once the arrow gets 4 blocks away from you, the original person that shot the sonic arrow, then it will be able to explode on any players. So execute at all the sonic arrows at themselves, unless there's a player within 4 blocks, which is going to be you. Then it will run tag at S player triggerable. So once it exits 4 blocks from you, it'll add this tag to himself. And next, this is basically the opposite of the command. If they have the tag player triggerable, so once they've exited your 4 block radius, they're gonna wait until there's an entity within 3 blocks of them. If there is, they're gonna tag themselves at explode. So basically, if there's an entity within 3 blocks of them after they've moved 4 blocks away from their original shooter, then they're gonna tag themselves explode. Next up, so the sonic crossbow actually deals true damage. So if you look down at the bottom of this lore for the item, or whatever you call it, tooltip something, it'll say knocks players back and deals true damage. So true damage, my interpretation of that is basically damage that would go through armor and protection. True damage goes through everything. So basically the first thing that we're gonna have to do is add resistance to the player, preventing any damage from the actual explosion of the sonic crossbow, and then we're gonna hit them with true damage later. So basically we're gonna make it so the sonic crossbow always deals the exact same amount of damage every time. And next, this command block basically just adds the actual damage of the explosion. So out of world damage is the same thing as falling into the void, which you know can damage you through creative mode. It can damage you through protection, it can damage you through armor, it can damage you through, of course, resistance, which is why we gave him resistance earlier, because it's preventing all damage except this. So basically, same thing as the sonic arrow, tag equals explode. So if it's triggered to explode, it'll execute as all the players within 15 blocks, which you can modify. You can change it to 7 if you think that's too much, and honestly 15 it is probably too much, so probably like 5. Execute all the players within 5 blocks is going to damage them 8 out of this world damage, which is the same thing as void, and that would be essentially 4 hearts of damage. You can change this 8 to whatever you want. And next, this is basically just going to summon a TNT. It's the same setup of the command, except it's summoning a TNT instead of affecting people or whatever. And this TNT will only have an effect on nearby mobs and the surrounding environment. It will not have effect on nearby players because of the command blocks from earlier. And next, we have the sonic boom sound effect. So this is basically just when it explodes, it's going to make the sonic boom sound effect, as you saw earlier when I fired it. And finally, this command block just kills the arrow. So it makes it so then that way the arrow doesn't constantly explode, because one, that would cause a ridiculous amount of lag. It would kill your ears because of the warden sound effect we spamming, and probably insta kill all players nearby and blow up literally everything. So it would lag out it's just not good. You just want the arrow to do this one time and then it disappears. Finally, we have an action bar. So if you notice, when I hold the sonic crossbow, it says ready, which means that I can fire it. And then now you see that it says certain amount of ticks, which is the same thing. Basically, that's just the timer on it. And once it gets down to 0, then you will see that it actually says ready again, which means that you can use it. So this is basically just an indicator to all players of when they can use a sonic crossbow and when they can't. And then to do this, use 1 repeating always active and 1 chain always active. With this command, I'm gonna, again, all commands are linked in the description. This one's a little bit more complicated. This is the action bar for if it's on cooldown. and this is the action bar for if it's ready. So those will both be in the description. The ready one goes in the chain and the other one goes in the repeating. If you want to see any other Hoplite items added into vanilla Minecraft, leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below which one you want to be added. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I will add a new Hoplite item to vanilla Minecraft. So if you like this video, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!